There is a substantial risk of loss associated with trading forex, binary options, stocks, or equities, collectively, asset classes. Only risk capital should be used for trading. Trading in any asset classes is not appropriate for everyone. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. No representation is being made that investors will make profits, or will not sustain losses. Before trading in any asset classes, investors should consult with their professional broker, financial advisor, or financial consultant to determine whether trading asset classes is appropriate. Investors who trade in any asset classes should only do so if the capital used for this purpose represents funds that an investor can afford to lose without adversely impacting the investor's lifestyle. No trading strategy or methodology is without risk of loss. No trading strategy is risk-free, and no trading strategy can guarantee profits or freedom from losses. Investors risk losing the cost to execute any transaction, including associated commissions or fees. You should carefully consider whether trading in any asset class is appropriate for you in light of your investment experience and financial resources. Any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. None of the statements or materials in the Auvoria Prime chat rooms constitute a solicitation or recommendation to buy or sell.
Who's excited? It's midweek. I know some people have caught some pips by now. Markets have been pretty volatile, but there's been a lot of opportunity in the markets. So I'm going to be basically going over that opportunity, how everything works, and exactly how we can win with the markets in general. So let me, 1 minute, since I'm kind of double tasking here, I want to make sure that we have everyone present. Okay. All right, let's get started. Zoom should be good. I'm going to make sure that I'm not muted on Zoom. Okay, perfect. All right, let's get started. All right. So, the markets in general has been pretty volatile. We have a lot of news coming up. I want to start there. A lot of news coming up. And what I said yesterday this is the day, this is today still. What I said yesterday was that, or not yesterday, last Developer Insights is that crude oil is a major piece of news now because there's heightened sensitivity to the subject. And then on top of that, with everything going on in the markets around the world, there's just extra reasons to move the markets. So for people who are looking to trade, looking to capitalize on this increased movement, you just have to be wary of, one, your risk management, not trying to go in too much too soon. Not trying to go in too much too soon. And then from there, know exactly, what your risk management is. Know exactly, why you're getting into the markets. So for this developer call, we're going to be doing something, just going through a different flow. And we're going to start off, talking about Zeus, showing you, one, really how to really tap into it. Because I think, as many people that have been using it and, doing well with it, I believe that with a few extra steps, or not really extra steps, but a mindset, a way of thinking about it, you can be a lot better when it comes to using Zeus. So for people that are brand new, this is Zeus. So basically, you have a system where it's more so, color coded to what trends are in the markets. And for a new person, that's really important because if you just look at a regular chart, like if I go, this is gold. So if I go back to gold itself, I have my markups here. I don't want to take that down, so let me use a different chart. Just going to a regular chart and trying to get somebody brand new to make sense of it, it'll be hard to do. And since it's hard to do, sometimes that scares people away from at least starting to learn. But if you have something that is simplifying the process, then you have a way to where you could basically be more proficient, more confident, and a lot better in making decisions because you have clarity. And clarity is the biggest word when it comes to trading. If you don't have clarity, then things are going to be pretty hard for you to understand. So Zeus is designed to give you that clarity. As far as how it works, we have this is a trend trading software. It's designed to look for points in the market where momentum is increasing. And it does a pretty good job of that, especially when you have, the trend with you. A lot of times it's hard for people to determine trend. So we have basically programmed into Zeus where it'll tell you not only what the trend is, with it being green for buys or uptrend, or red for selling or downward movements. But if there's times, and sometimes maybe I'll go down to 1 minute, maybe it might be choppy on there. But if there is a place in the market where the market is choppy, it's going to have a series of both green and red within the trend. So that lets you know that the trend is inconsistent. So it gives you that clarity. So okay, if I'm in a full downtrend and I'm getting downward arrows, then those arrows are going to be a lot better. And if I'm in an uptrend, I'm getting upward arrows, then those arrows are going to be more reliable. That's really all you're doing. The only other step to it is knowing if you're overbought or oversold. So to back up on that, oversold is when the market is sold off a lot. That's basically what it means. And a lot of times when the market is oversold, there is a upward movement that is inevitable to happen. So the thing with oversold is you don't want to sell when you're in oversold territories because as you see, as it gets to the lower parts, the markets move up. And if you're selling, you would start to being a losing position versus when you're overbought and you're buying, the market tends to come off of an overbought zone to balance out the market. The market is always trying to balance itself. So if you have, your arrows within trend and you're not overbought or oversold, then for the most part, you're good to go. The only other thing that you would really consider if you're brand new is whether or not you're trading right around a news release, because a news release can spike the market either direction. Doesn't matter what the trend is. And when you have those spikes, if you're in positions, they can stop you out. So that's really the only two things. We tell you the trend. We tell you when Zeus is looking at a position, or not looking at a position, but more so signaling that a opportunity is present. It makes it a lot easier. The second aspect of it is we have what's called trade manager. So our trade manager for people that are busy, for people that don't want to sit in front of a computer or their phones while they're in a trade, they can set what they would normally do while they're away from the markets, where you can have a partial close or TP1, what you could say, or a TP2 and a TP3. That's where you can tell Zeus, based off what you're trading, how much you want to close at certain positions. So that way, all you really have to do is press buy or sell. So that's all it takes when it comes to trading Zeus. I want to make sure people can hear me. Put a seven in the chat, whether you're in AP Live or Zoom, and let me know if one you can hear me. So just put some sevens in the chat if you can hear me. I want to just do a little mic check before I get too much into the meat of the process. Okay, perfect, awesome. So, all right, let's jump into the markets. Now that people can hear me, let's jump into things. So let's start with let's start with gold. What was our last session? It was yesterday. So yesterday we had talked about this on Sunday. That happened where we had that. This was what's called like a supply zone or demand zone, and this was the supply zone. But what happened was we were looking at the markets; it was getting inconsistent as far as movement. We didn't know if this upward trend was continuing because when we came into the market Sunday, it was sideways. So when you have a true sideways market, you want it to show you which way you want to go, which way the markets want to go, and you basically have a way to where you can be prepared when the market goes in that direction. It's not necessarily about predicting the markets, it's about having a game plan for if the market reaches certain conditions. So we have that happen with it happened, I think, was it 2 days ago, where it broke out of this zone and it's made an extension. So now we have a we have structure in the market. We have a game plan because what's happened now is for new people, I teach a lot of market structure. Market structure is basically how to identify trend, without the indicators. And the reason I go over market structure is because even though you have a very solid system in Zeus, something that you can follow the guidelines and do quite well, there's a psychological aspect when it comes to trading. And if you don't feel comfortable because of lack of knowledge of what's going on, you may not even follow the system that's already proven to win for you. So to combat that, I take time to go over the markets in general without any indicators, just so you can know how to think about what these charts look like. Because you'll have a thought process with this, and with that thought process, you'll be even better at using Zeus because you can start to combine different aspects of trading and use Zeus as an amplifier for that method of trading. So going into tomorrow, it's going to be a busy. It's going to be a busy London and New York session. You have heavy Great British news, and a lot of people trade the Great British Pound. GBP AUD is one of our tier one forex pairs when it comes to trading Zeus. You're going to have three, sort of later news releases because this is going to happen at 7 a.m. This is Central Time. Let me double check. Yeah, 7 a.m. Central Time, which is 8 a.m. Eastern. So that's a kind of a nightly or evening time piece of news from London. So that's going to feed into New York session. And then right going into the open of New York session, you have manufacturing and unemployment. So you have a very solid news session for New York, and for people who are currently active using Zeus, I'll be on tomorrow morning during this time to just navigate the markets and help you understand what's been going on. So as far as gold right now, gold is kind of making that same little holding pattern. But the difference between this holding pattern and this one is that now we have an established trend. So we know that gold will most likely come into this area here, because think of this open space as literally that space. And do you move faster when you're in space, or do you move faster when everything's congested? You're able to move faster in space. The markets have that same philosophy. So if you're getting to a new zone, you may have a quick reaction up before continuing either where it starts, at this area, or maybe at this area is the next extension down. That's what we'll be looking for, because the markets have already shown us through both gold and the dollar itself that the dollar is winning that battle, because when the dollar is gaining strength over gold, this is going to go downwards. So until the market shows us otherwise, we're going to follow the plan that the market is giving out. Now, as far as trading it with Zeus, what I like to do is find the zone within the markets. There we go. Find a zone from within the markets and see about, what zone would be strong enough to trade. So as I look, the strongest zone is either the zone that it's at right now. So we can mark that up. Or this particular zone here. The zone that it broke out from before. Which zone it will react from? Well, we don't know. How we know is when we start getting to an area and you start seeing some bearish candles. I have white on mine, it would be red on yours, forming, and probably start to move away from the zone after being at that zone. When you start to see that, do you know that you're looking for your next extension down, which means, your longer protruded movement downwards. And trading is just really repetitive. And that's the goal with trading. You want to become repetitive with trading. If you're doing a bunch of different stuff every time you trade, then you don't really have a strategy. You're just playing a game. So if you're able to get to where you're consistent in how you're getting into the markets, then things will be a whole lot easier for you. For people that are also brand new, we have an entire resource called the Zeus Playbook that will basically show you, what pairs that we recommend trading. Our Zeus trading strategy video, a link to our boot camp, which is also present now underneath, not on this page, but if we go to what is going on? Alrighty, so we were talking about structuring the markets. So let's look at pull up my markup. I'll delete everything. Okay, no worries. So there was a zone here. Let me just remark up what I had. And that there. So at this point, we're just waiting to see what gold does. Whether it rejects off of there, which I don't think is likely. I think more so it will come up, give you some, space to trade in. And like say, if you're looking for any counter trend moves, just be careful if you take counter trend moves. Be more conservative. If you're taking it on Zeus. Speaking of, let me get Zeus back. Alright, so I'll let that load in the background. The other one I want to go over was Bitcoin itself. So Bitcoin has been ranging. Actually, let me not do that. Ranging completely in these zones that we had been talking about. So let me go to really see it. Let me go to the daily. And we've been basically tracking Bitcoin since January on a longer time frame, just to show you that these same analysis can work on even crypto. So just jumping in, looking at the markets now. I haven't looked at Bitcoin a week, so in this last week, it's kind of accumulating this area here. And anytime you have a large amount of accumulation, then a good move happens from it. And I believe that move will be a bullish move, especially with the increased utilization of Bitcoin. So, what I'm looking for now is just kind of going zone to zone here. Just see if we can get to 42,500. See what it does in this area. This area here will be exactly the telltale of what Bitcoin is going to do over the next month or so, really the next 3 months. And when you have a strong zone like this, like we had a big movement up in Bitcoin, it got stopped by that zone, and that's happened a few times with Bitcoin itself. That 42,000 zone has been pretty significant. It's been trading, bouncing off of there. It's been used as resistance there. When it finally broke, it was used as support for that low. So that's been a pretty solid zone there. And obviously we got the higher zones here. So with Bitcoin, it's just going based off the price action, going from zone to zone. So let me see if I got Zeus back up so I can continue the next part. As far as updates for Zeus, and we're working on a way to where more people can have more pairs up at a certain time. Well, there's a lot that goes into the programming side of Zeus, and the good part of it is that Zeus is a great software. The downside of it is that it takes longer to load. So we're working on restructuring things on the back end to make the lag either go away or be very minimum. But for right now, I usually do 2 to maybe 4 pairs. Optimal is 1 or 2 when it comes to that. But the way Zeus is, you really don't need a lot of pairs open, because it really is good at maximizing the pair that you like to trade. It was originally meant to be a scalper, where you're hyper focused on a pair or two, and it's finding a lot of great opportunities in the market. So for Zeus, I like trading Zeus on the 5 and the 15 minute. These are the main pairs that I trade. I interchange US 30 with S&P 500 when it comes to trading with Zeus. So literally, that's kind of like my order of how I trade, or what I trade when it comes to Zeus. I more so trade silver than gold, and GBP/AUD is our number one forex pair. So as far as questions, if you have questions, I wanted to be a little bit more free flowing. Let me know if you have any questions as far as how to use Zeus, or a trading question you may have. And I'll be happy to help you answer that question. But let me look at the markets. I'm gonna go over a couple things when it comes to just what we're looking at. Just in general, while we're waiting on any questions, notice the yen pairs. The yen pairs, the Japanese yen has been pretty weak, and that gives you an advantage, especially since one, the dollar has been strong and the yen has been weak. So for people who like trading U.S. dollar, Japanese yen, like look at how that chart's been going. It's been just straight up. And when you have that combination of a weak currency paired with a strong currency, this is an extra thing that you probably want to put on Zeus, because Zeus is going to help you scout those little micro movements within UJ, and you know that you're in an uptrend. So I would add, U.S. dollar, Japanese yen to Zeus because of its strong trend that it has. And there really hasn't been any indication of any reversal. So until that really happens, that's going to be a good one to trade from. So let me see. Or the other pair that I wanted to go over, where was it? Was the pound yen. So I mean not the pound yen, the pound US dollar. Another pair that's going to be very, very highly traded tomorrow because of the increased Great Britain news, followed by the string of United States dollar news, all at the same time. So this would be a pair that you would want to watch. This had a great trade this morning. This afternoon. I was quite busy this afternoon, but you had a trade going right into what's called an imbalance. And if you don't know what imbalance is, get access to Zeus. If you have access, go to the Zeus Bootcamp. You'll see it in your membership area. But this imbalance provided a great zone for people to trade. This was, once you learn how to trade what's called institutional trading, then this is what would be called like a perfect trade. Reason it's a perfect trade, without going too much, because I want to kind of stick with software. But you have what's called let me use this, what's called an institutional candle. Institutional candle is a misdirection candle before a major move. So without going to the markets are moved by larger institutions, market makers, and things like that. Liquidity is points in the market where people may either enter a trade in the opposite direction of where bigger institutions wants to go, or a stop loss of trades that are hoping to go in the same direction that the institution wants to go. And there's an area, a pocket area called a liquidity pocket, to where if the market reaches that area and has a reaction from, it gives you a clue that that's a liquidity pocket for larger institutions. So this candle here was the last candle before the market makers decided that there was enough liquidity to make this move here. And then once that move was created, as it got to the top of that move, there was more liquidity being put not only in this imbalance here from stop losses or just unchecked buy orders, but also from this little pocket here from maybe stop losses or sell stop orders that may have been in this area. So news that actually played into the hands of that analysis and popped right off from it. And you had a perfect trade. Like, I really wish I was looking at the markets, this morning. I took an off day. But that's something we like to see. Now, going into New York session, I'll be paying attention to this candle, because this candle is a bigger version of this candle. And when it's a big version of it to where, that's too big of a zone for me to accurately depict, or it's too big of a zone for me to cover, because I don't like to have large stop losses. I want to find an area within that zone And the 50% area is a great area to trade from in these liquidity pockets. What I like to do is put the 50% and another Fibonacci, not necessarily a Fibonacci, but let me draw it the other way. It's supposed to be drawn this way. But a ratio level that's highly traded upon amongst insider trading or market makers. It's not really a real known trading level from a retail perspective. But I like to have that as my zone to trade from. So that would be like my price action setup. Then let's say, Zeus comes in. The market comes in, trades to that. Maybe the news from London drives the market similar to what it did here for the U.S. news. Drives the market into that area, rejects off. Well, now I have the entry here. And then, as I have that entry there, other things come. This is a 30-minute time frame. I can go to smaller time frames and look for Zeus entries off of that entry. So that way I'm maximizing on the move that this was pointed out. So this is how you can use both price action, what we teach in our Zeus boot camp, and on our Sunday call for our live sessions, and Zeus together to create a real dynamic thing. And this is why you don't really need a lot of pairs open with Zeus, because you can find that one pair that has a great setup that you like in general, let the market hit that level and confirm in the direction that you're trying to trade. And then once that happens, that one, you're trading within the trend and you're trading within the momentum that's going in the same direction of the trend. So when you have that, you have what's called confluence, and that confluence can be combined with Zeus to create really like a sweet spot when it comes to your trading. So like say, market gets down into that area. Let me see if there's what was uptrending. Here we go. Say like the market got down to an area down here that you really liked on a bigger time frame. This area, let me just mark it up so you can know what I'm talking about. So this area here, let's just say that was a area you like from a price action perspective. We're on the 15-minute chart. You can go down to, I'm gonna just go down to the 5-minute just to keep it simple. You go down to the 5-minute, and now from that same area, you're going to have a lot of opportunities come up from that zone. Let me separate the arrow so you can see it better. One more time. There we go. So from that area, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 winning US 30 trades in a row. Like say that's the area on US 30 that you wanted the market to bounce off of. You're in trend, you found an area that the market reacted from, and now you're just catching your different entries on your smaller time frames. So, who would like to win 8 US 30 trades? That's something that you can do with just taking just an extra step, and we teach you exactly how to do it. In looking at the chart, knowing where you want the market to potentially bounce from to continue trend, and then just finding your entries. Even without doing that, you can just use the regular confirmations that Zeus has to find your trades, do well with it. But if you want to have that extra confidence and be in spots where you can go for more of your home run trades, then putting that little piece of price action analysis will go a long way. So do we have any questions on that? Let me see. I don't know if I had another pair that I really liked going into the end of the week. But yeah, so as far as the updates, that's the other part where we're at before it cut out. We're looking. One was taking out the lag time. The second was making it to where you could see multiple time frames at one time as far as trend and momentum and structure. Being if you're able to see it all on one time frame without it taken away from the time frame that you're trading on, then it would make your trading a whole lot easier. You don't have to switch back and forth between time frames. You can just have your pairs that you want on the time frame that you want to execute from, as far as when the arrows pop up or what time frame the arrows pop up, and just execute your trades and have more fun trading, being more efficient in your trading. So that's what we're looking to do. We're going to be testing some things out on the back end just to make sure that we have the best thing coming forward when we release that. But as far as anything else, that basically does it for me. As long as, let's see, so it looks like we didn't have any questions. So tomorrow we'll have our New York session call, and I'll see you on the next session.
There is a substantial risk of loss associated with trading forex, binary options, stocks, or equities, collectively, asset classes. Only risk capital should be used for trading. Trading in any asset classes is not appropriate for everyone. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. No representation is being made that investors will make profits or will not sustain losses. Before trading in any asset classes, investors should consult with their professional broker, financial advisor, or financial consultant to determine whether trading asset classes is appropriate. Investors who trade in any asset classes should only do so if the capital used for this purpose represents funds that an investor can afford to lose without adversely impacting the investor's lifestyle. No trading strategy or methodology is without risk of loss. No trading strategy is risk-free, and no trading strategy can guarantee profits or freedom from losses. Investors risk losing the cost to execute any transaction, including associated commissions or fees. You should carefully consider whether trading in any asset class is appropriate for you in light of your investment experience and financial resources. Any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. None of the statements or materials in the Auvoria Prime chat rooms constitute a solicitation or recommendation to buy or sell.